Hello, this is Dr. Benoit, and I am going to be walking you through the teaching cycle with pre-assessment stage 2, task 2. So we'll go ahead and click here and just get that brief overview of what stage 2, task 2 is. Again, it starts on page 8 and goes to page 15 of the template. Notice the template is going to be right down here. The rubric is here and the template is here. We'll look at that in just a moment. But this boils down what we're doing. It is that should say data, not date, data-driven decisions. And this one has 5 steps to this task. So the first thing that we have to do is annotate and submit learner artifacts. So of those pre-tests, so remember in the previous task, task 1, you selected a pre-test and a post-test and you annotated those. In this one, you're going to actually administer the pre-test, not the post-test, just the pre-test, okay? Ideally, in the real world, you would have enough time to give the pre-test to the students, actually teach them a lesson that's related to the pre-test, and then give them the post-test so that you could measure how well the instruction was and what you need to do moving forward. However, for the purposes of this course, it's so short, you don't have enough time to actually administer the post-test as well. You will, however, go through that full process in residency, and this will prepare you for it. But for now, you're just going to actually administer the pre-test to the students. So once you administer it, you grade the student pre-tests, and then you submit 5 annotated learner artifacts. You're going to want to look at the directions to see exactly what has to be annotated. The second part of this is analyzing that pre-assessment data. So you're going to create 2 graphs. You can use a pie chart, a bar chart, to depict the results of each student's performance, and that's what we call class data, and each question's performance, which is sort of what we call, which is the item analysis. Then we're going to look at student achievement charts. So we'll look at the template to see how to fill that out, but that actually gives you data for every student in the class. And then 2D is identifying and planning for gaps in the instruction. So this is like, once we have all this data, how do we plan to meet any of the potential knowledge or skill gaps that the pre-assessment data identifies? And that's going to be questions that we answer in the template, Appendix E. And then lastly, we need to look at any potential biases that might be present. There are 3 questions on page 10 of the template. And you simply answer those and you put them at the end of your assignment. So once you've done all of this, you upload it as one document and you put it in the discussion board. So you can either use a PowerPoint format, which I've shown you that in previous ones, how to do screenshots and put it in a PowerPoint, or you can do a Word and PDF format to upload it. The pattern needs to be last name underscore first name underscore stage 2, task 2. And so here's your rubric. Again, you need to check that out on your own. Right now, we are going to actually look at the template. So this is the one that we've been looking at the whole time with teaching cycle with pre-assessment. Now we're going to scroll down to find the particular stage that we are looking for. We're going to continue scrolling till we get right here. Task 2, data-driven decisions. And that's actually going to start on page 8. And so if you look up at the top, it gives an explanation about the framework and what is justified with the high leverage practices according to this assessment. And then it's going to walk you through how to do it. As I mentioned, you administer the pre-assessment. And then next, this portion of it is annotating and submitting learner artifacts. And this tells you exactly what you need to annotate for. So read over carefully, making sure that you're grading correctly and that you're giving feedback correctly. And then this is what you need to focus on for your annotations. So you have to demonstrate that you're doing these. You submit 5 pre-assessment learner artifacts that has those annotations on it. and that has your academic feedback on it. The next portion of this is analyzing the pre-assessment data. And so to analyze the pre-assessment data, to determine the learner's ability toward the content required by the standard, use the information collected above, and then you're going to create 2 data visuals. Identify overall individual learner understanding from the assessment, and then the collective class result for each question. And then this tells you how to submit those data files. Next is the actual student achievement chart. So using the annotated learner pre-assessment artifacts and data charts, complete the student achievement chart and group your students into 4 to 6 groups based on the qualitative, so this means the written feedback that you gave them, and the quantitative, this means the actual number and the scores. Then we want to identify and plans for gaps in the learning. So reflect on the annotated pre-assessment artifacts, so those student artifacts, reflect on the data charts, and reflect on the student achievement charts. And then you are going to answer the reflective questions within Appendix E about the success of your students, identified misconceptions, and future planning decisions, including supports and modifications that may be needed. And then lastly, identify educator biases. So reflect on your answers on stage 2, student achievement charts, and everything that you've done up to this point. And then there are 3 questions that you need to fully reflect on and then provide a response for. If you use this template, you can type right in here, although sometimes it's kind of far away from the other material, so you may want to copy and paste it again just to be safe to put it right at the end. This is the data chart for learner assessment work. So this is what we're talking about as a method that you could use to help you analyze the data. So notice it's broken down by question number 1, and then total correct, total incorrect, percentage correct, question number 2, question number 3. So this is why I told you I wouldn't do really, really long pre-tests, because it's hard to do that item analysis. It's time consuming. And then this is the student achievement charts, which essentially they're going to help you group your students. So you could group students based on the questions perhaps that they missed, and you could explain that you've grouped them together because you're going to provide some more instruction on a concept perhaps that it looks like they need a little bit more support with. Maybe you're going to be grouping them by maybe a formatting issue. Maybe for the constructed response, they didn't seem to know how to format their response. They maybe use bullet points or incomplete sentences, and you just want to put a group together so that you can focus specifically on, how to show them how to do that. And you need 4 to 6 groups. Ideally, that's what we're looking for here. And then these are the questions that you use after you've done all of that. This is how we reflect on and plan for future instruction. And then lastly, you would do those, as I mentioned before, it's those final questions right here where you reflect on potential biases. And that is it for stage 2, task 2. Let's look at a sample for this. Oh, sorry, I don't know why I have double samples here. I actually already pulled them up. Here is one that is actually a business class. You can see here are her student artifacts. And remember, we're not using any names. She's got her learners numbered here. You can look at the feedback that she put to them, that academic feedback. And then those are her 5. And then this is where she got a little bit mixed up on how she was supposed to do the visuals. So what she did was there were 8 questions, notice, in her pretest. And so here, essentially, she put the number correct. So how many of the students got this question correct? Well, that's great, but the next one, what she did was she only did it for the 5 learners. And that's not what she should have done. What we really wanted was data for the whole class, not just the selected 5 learners. So this is the question. And now what we would have really liked here is to see, she had like, I think maybe like 20 students in this class. How well did all the students do? Like, what was their percentage correct on all of them? So she missed a little bit here because she misunderstood what she was doing. But here are the student achievement charts, and she grouped them, hers together. Notice this is another area where she missed it. She only grouped based on those 5 learners. And so she should have had 4 to 6 groups. And so this part is incorrect. She should have grouped based on all of her students, all 20 or whatever of her students, not just the 5 that she selected, for the artifacts. And so one of the things that, so one of the things that is noteworthy here is the way that she's going to plan. And she had a response for all 7 questions. And then this is her reflection on potential educator biases. So she had a few errors in this one. Overall, it's good. She didn't get full credit because she didn't totally provide everything that she needed to. She got just a little bit off, very, very minor, very, very minor, not a major deal at all. This one is, I already pulled this one up too, I think. Yes, I did. So I think this one is social studies. Yes. And this particular resident, she did a great job, but she forgot, she put the learner numbers for her artifacts, but she should have also whited out these names. We don't want to see any student names on these. So she's got them marked. She has feedback for each one, academic feedback. So she's got her 5 artifacts. And then she did great on her charts. And this is what we're talking about. Here's the individual learner understanding. And so there were 13 learners in this class, 13 who took her pre-assessment. And this tells you how many, what their total percent correct was. So that's what we're talking about. And then this one are just the questions, the 5 questions, and how the learners, how they responded to each question. So this one is like total class, every single learner and their percentage correct. And then this one is like an item analysis, each question and how it performed. So how the students did on just that question. Now she puts her student achievement charts and she's got her groups, and notice she did the grouping correctly. She's got all of the students, all 13 of them, I think, or yeah, 13 of the students in this class grouped, and how she grouped them together, the decisions that she made to group them. And then this one is planning, how she used the data to figure out how she was going to plan for future instruction. And then lastly, she put those questions, copied and pasted them, and put potential biases that she may have had. So that shows you 2 different samples of how to attack stage 2, task 2. And again, once you finish, you're going to upload it so that your peers can give you feedback, and so that you can see how other students in your class, other candidates responded to it. And it's just so helpful to be able to have that opportunity to see how other people are doing it and to get some feedback. Remember, you're not going to submit them for a final grade until later in the semester, but do not fall behind in these checkpoints. You are graded every week on them. And it's just a great way to make sure that you're on track for the class. So This is Teaching Cycle with Pre-Assessment, Stage 2, Task 2. Have a great week. Reach out if you have questions.